Good early morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. And in this video, I want to talk about everything I'm doing to get ready for fall. We're going to be talking about stuff that I'm treating for, stuff that I'm removing, what I'm adding shade to. We're pretty much going to go over the whole gamut because we are currently in a heat wave. That's why I'm out here earlier than normal, which I kind of like being out here earlier. Just go ahead and get it over with. But just got to try and battle the heat. But yeah, we're going to walk through the garden and we'll see what we need to do to get ready for our fall planting. I think we'll start off with what we're treating for, and I want to show you this. As you can see, this bee right here, which is one of my bees, is loading up on the pollen. So I had a comment earlier that said bees don't pollinate the corn. Well, you're right, they don't pollinate the corn, but they collect the pollen, and if they land from one to the other, it can help. So this is very good news because it's a, oh boy, it is a, it's a nectar dearth right now and a pollen dearth. But actually I'm looking at this and look at what I just found. So you can see we got a little something going on here. I don't have my peepers with me, but yeah, that's not great. So we're gonna treat here, we're gonna treat this corn and we're gonna treat this corn. And in particular, the reason why we're treating is because of this. You can see that we've clearly got a pest, and some of you may know, unfortunately, the video will come out after I treat, but there's something eating it and I can't really see what it is. But what I do know is a lot of the corn is affected by a caterpillar of some sort. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. So what we're going to do is we're going to treat this corn and this corn with BT. BT is really good for anything that's like a worm, caterpillar, anything like that. So we're going to treat with that. It's an organic pesticide. And last I checked here on my tomatoes, it may be the same thing. I think I found an armyworm at one point, maybe not. So we're going to really dig through, and if I can find armyworms in here, then I definitely will. But you know, BT is not a commonly used pesticide in the summertime. Not as common as it is in the spring. If my cucumbers hadn't bit it, then sure, we would use it, but you know, it is what it is, you know. So we'll use that for that, and then other than that, that's all we're going to use BT for. But the next treatment is the really important one. I know I showed you in the last video, but in this you can see we've got squash bug eggs. So we'll go through, and what I'll probably end up doing is going through this entire plant and just spot killing all the eggs I can. I'm not going to find all of them, but what I can find, I will go ahead and crush. But you can look under the leaves, and at some point we'll be able to see them. You can already see the damage from them. So there's squash bugs here, and we find the nymphs of them. I'm sorry, I'm looking away from the camera, so the angle's kind of jacked up. But you can see we've got eggs all over this plant. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come through, and here we go, here's the nymphs. So you see they like to pile up like that. So we'll come through and get them because they end up growing into bigger squash bugs. And clearly this plant's getting infested. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna treat this one. But before I tell you what else we'll use it for, I gotta say this, the treatment for the squash bugs, it doesn't necessarily treat the adults. What it does is it treats the nymphs and the larvae. So you've got to kind of go through the life cycle of them. So this is going to be a couple treatments, but we'll go ahead and start that and then work our way around. And what we'll also do is we definitely will for our tomatoes. I haven't had a lot of damage on my tomatoes in the past, but you can see something is coming and eating the tomatoes. So we're going to go ahead and treat. And I haven't been able to find a pest necessarily, and I typically don't get damage like this on my tomatoes, but we'll go ahead and treat for these, and it's the same time. I like to evaluate my garden and see, because this is all prepping us for the fall season, believe it or not. It's also gonna help us get harvest, but we're also prepping for the fall season. And at the same time, what we'll do is we'll hit this sweet potato patch just for this is about the time of year that we usually get the flea beetles. So this will take care of them right away. And that's basically where we're gonna do our treating at this point. We don't have a whole lot to do, but you know, we wanna stay on top of it. And what we're doing is, by treating them now, we're preparing for next year. So if we can get the populations down more and more, then we can kind of work on that and not let them reproduce and stay in the soil. So we need to stay on top of that. Yeah, and for all of the new viewers and people who've forgotten, I'm in coastal North Carolina, forgot to say that. One thing I've decided to do is for this bed here where we're gonna put the parsnips here in a couple days, I was gonna remove the trellis, and so what I'll do is I'll end up removing this part, but I'm gonna leave these poles here because we're taking a parsnip seed that's long germinating, and I was kind of thinking about it over the weekend, and I think what I'll do is I'll tie some shade cloth right here and then down at an angle so that can hold maximum moisture on that soil. I think when you're doing something germinating, something like that, it works really well. So we'll start that process. By doing it at an angle, it does two things. So this is for my garden. It's not necessarily for your garden. But for my garden, what it does is the hot sun, I've said this 1,000 times, but I'll continue to say it, it comes this direction. So it'll give it the bulk of it. But as you can see now, I know y'all ready to throw up yet? This time of day, the sun comes this way. So what that will allow me to do actually is water it easier through here. I already have the drip system, so that's not an issue, but for the seed germination, I need to water it. So I can come in here and water it. So it'll work good, and it's just working the different avenues that the sun takes in your garden specifically. So if I was in a field, just like a regular field, or I didn't have trees around me, I would just put the shade right over top. And then that way it would block the midday sun. But because of the way it works here and the way that we get that sun going across, that's how we're gonna run it. And I think what I'll do too, so the temperatures are gonna stay pretty high, and I wanna squeeze a little bit more out of these tomatoes. So I may end up putting a shade cloth over that too. Maybe, I'm not sure. They're doing pretty good, they're holding their own, but I think I may wanna stay on top of it. But I'm just gonna take my time and get this one set up first and then keep an eye on that. Tomatoes can take a lot more heat. They're already established plants, so it's not really that big a deal. Pepper bed, what I'll do is I'm gonna come out as soon as this heat breaks and clear out the dead. And look at this. That's a mango pepper. So it tastes like a mango and it's hot. I had one that somebody gave to me, and I've never had one that somebody gave that I've grown. So as tradition to our garden, I always eat the first hot pepper of the year of anything so I can test it. I know I'm nervous, but that's okay. Wow. That's hotter than the last one I had, but it tastes like a mango. So in this whole bed, this is the pepper that I've been valuing the most all year. So what I'm gonna do, there's a couple things. First, I'm gonna cool my mouth off. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. So first, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to find a plant in here once I get things cleared out and save the seed for. So this bed right here will be used for fall. It's probably going to be a quick plant crop, something like lettuce. It may be a good candidate for my lettuce, radish, bok choy bed, and I may actually have a couple of those this year. And the reason why is because we plant it, we grow it, we harvest it, and then it's done and it rests. So we may actually do that for this bed this year. It may be a good candidate for it, but we're going to get a couple of those peppers so we can save the seed. Love saving seeds from peppers, super easy. I'm just gonna let it mature really good. A lot of these are maturing. We got a couple inches of rain from that tropical system, and we're supposed to maybe get some more rain. And so if we do get some more rain, that little bit of rain really turned this bed around, and what needed to, what was not to the point of no return has bounced back. So we're gonna keep rolling with it and just, like I said, take out the dead, let the sun get in, and just roll with it for the rest of the summer. So that'll be good. Yeah, I need to start work. What do you think about the greenhouse, ladies and gentlemen? She's a bit crazy. So our tomato experiment, the tomato grew. It just didn't grow tomatoes. But we'll see how that goes. I think a lot of that comes from the lack of wind in here. But we'll see how this goes. But we're going to start clearing this out. And we don't really need to do anything in the greenhouse yet. It still gets plenty hot in here. So we need to make sure that we get everything prepped. And what I'll do is I got to replace this line right here. And then we're going to turn the water back on and let it slowly start to gain water. And I need to take this sensor out because I want to do that test. If you don't have one of these Govee sensors, I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was. They're super cheap. And these smart temperature sensors, when I take you over to the shade house, we're going to look at that, and I'll show you some stuff going on there. But I want to start the temperature test in there, especially in this high heat. These containers here, so I made the decision, the executive decision, that I was not going to be planting any more summer vegetables in these. More than likely, what I'm going to transfer over to is flowers. So at this point, what I may do is just pull everything out and throw some flowers in there real quick. But we're going to plant in the fall in these. I really like growing in containers in fall. It works really well. It's just another added spot to put stuff. So we're going to get these prepared, and putting the flowers in there will cause them to have to be watered and taken care of, because as dry as it's been, it's a possibility. But like in the greenhouse, the soil is almost hydrophobic at this point, meaning it won't accept water. So we've really got to put the water to it. And if we do it now instead of waiting a month or two, it'll start to absorb that water more and more. And there's stuff we can do, like if I see that it's not doing it, then we can do it. But what I'll do is I'll start watering it more with the drip system. And then, for instance, when I'm coming in here and watering this bed, then I can just squirt in there real quick and get that top layer of soil, and that should help kick off the soil accepting the water. So that's basically what we want to do there, and that should put us in a position to start getting these beds ready for fall. We've got another month or so for this buckwheat here, and then we'll clear cut it, and then we'll actually plant in there. And these beds over here that we're going to move, I'm not going to take you over there for the sake of time, but we're just going to let things grow out. And then if we have to, I'll put some kind of I might actually put more buckwheat in there just for the bees, you know, because then it can spend the rest of the summer out there flowering, and the bees can eat all of that. The one issue that I'm starting to have, and it's not major, but in the mornings, you can see here my grass grow, and in the mornings you come out and there are bees all over the grass, just harvesting pollen and drinking water. And so what I'm starting to think, and it'll be good to see, are they going to all be in this bed, which I think they will, and make it hard to get into? So if we can create that space over there, then that would work out well too. Because like I said, this is going to be short-lived. So we'll probably have to come out on a bad day and just kind of clear cut it. But it actually looks like it's about to start flowering too, which I'm really excited about. And so the important thing is that we don't let it go to seed. So we can let it flower, but we can't let it go to seed, because then we'll just basically have a perennial buckwheat bed going on here, which is not what I want. That defeats the purpose of a cover crop. So now for the sad news. We had that tropical system, which wasn't very big at all. And we came over the other day, and the wind apparently got into it. So the structure stayed. The structure actually stayed, so that was good. But two of the trays, an onion tray and a cabbage tray, did not. Is it the end of the world? No, it really does suck, but it's not terrible. I honestly didn't think the wind was going to get as bad as it did, so I wasn't overly concerned about it. But you can tell they got beat up pretty bad from laying down. So we're going to have to start another tray of cabbage. I don't think I'm actually going to start another tray of onions. And then the Brussels sprouts up here are doing just fine. They made it, no problem. So we're going to have to work on that a little bit. It is sad, but you know, it is what it is. And I'm just gonna take the sensor and I'm just gonna set it there. Actually, let me hang it. And so we'll talk about this more in a video because I'm super curious about how this is gonna do. So that won't blow away. And then I'll set another one out here in a couple places and then we'll see how it gets. This will all help with our test to see how the shade house does. But you know, as we come around and we look at the garden, everything's growing. Right now, what we're dealing with as far as like harvesting is we don't have a whole lot coming out of the garden. So I was ready to come on here and say, yeah, look, we're doing great. We've hit our goal. We're closing the gap on harvesting. And then I forgot about midsummer. And so this is where we're at, where this is another harvesting dearth period where we're not really harvesting a lot, but we have a lot of long season crops growing in here. We've got a bed of sweet potatoes. We got 2 beds of corn. You know, we're going to be putting parsnips. And so all these things are really long season. So it's like I'm signing up for the long game. And I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. This is the first year I've done it like this. And I'll probably do a video about it because I'm testing a lot in my garden this year. And when I get everything put together and figure out how I like it, I'll make a video about it. But I'm not sure if I'm totally thrilled with the way everything is going. I think that we could be more productive with the space that we have here. But these are the decisions that I've made. And moving forward, we can tweak. But I can tell you that I'm really excited. I'm excited for fall harvesting, but not for the end of summer, because summer is my favorite season. It just it's easy on me. And oh, the other thing I'm going to do with the neem oil, I forgot, is I want to follow up on the green beans up here. We did one treatment and the Japanese beetles kind of got under control, but we want to just do another follow up on that. So we'll do that as well. But that's my laundry list about getting stuff ready for fall planting. So we've got busy times ahead. I don't plan if it's over 92, 93 degrees, I really don't like coming out here and doing anything, especially after this time of day. I'll come out here and do some things, but I'm just gonna kind of take my time, work my way through it. This is why I get started early, so I'm not doing a mad dash and have to come out here and spend an entire day. I can come out here and spend 30 minutes on this, or hell, I spent 5 minutes on that bed so far. I'll probably spend another 30 on that one. I'll come out here in the afternoon and treat and just kind of break it up into pieces and parts and do it that way. So I hope that you guys are doing that. What are you doing in your gardens to get ready for fall? I know it's early, but it is time to think about it, trust me. And if you haven't started seeds yet for fall, you might want to think about it because you're going to run out of time.